Hello, everybody. I'm Anthony, along with Chris and Marco. This is episode 39 of Hard Knock Hawks. This is the podcast where we talk about our favorite basketball team, the Atlanta Hawks, and sometimes other stuff in the NBA too. Leon is busy with work today, so unfortunately he cannot be here. Before we start, I would like to say to make sure to like and share and subscribe to today's episode to help make this podcast grow. We would really appreciate if you do that. But in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the conclusion of Summer League and the current state of the Hawks roster with a special guest, Hawks Twitter legend Grant Shirley. He's been talking about the Hawks for years, helping provide the community with useful stats information about the team. You can follow Grant on X, formerly Twitter, at Grant_Shirley4. So I'm going to ask you, Grant, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, man. First of all, I appreciate you guys having me on for the kind words. I'm doing great, man. It's been a fun last month in the Hawks world out here. So I know we got a lot to talk about, a lot to look forward to, man. So I'm excited.
So I'm going to start with you, Grant, and then we'll just go around the room. What's your general thoughts on Summer League? I'm going to start to go over some stats before I ask you again. The Hawks did finish 4-1, but they had a bunch of close wins during that. And because of that, they only had a 2.2 net rating, which was sadly not enough to win the Summer League championship. But despite that, I think they had some pretty good performances from everyone. So what was your thoughts generally?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say they were undefeated. I'm not counting that game five. I don't know about you guys, but no, those first four games, it was there was some great performances in there, and I know they ended up winning by their total was like plus 32, going 4-0, and they still can't make the summer league playoffs. Just to go show like how competitive this year was in summer league, but no, it was a great team, man, and it honestly might have been like the best summer league team that we fielded. I don't know, in the last decade or so. I went back and looked at the last 10 years, and I don't think we've had a team that's gone, you know, better than 4-1 or kind of made it that far. So, and we did it with some quality guys. So we've had some fun teams in the past. I think of there was like a Torian Prince and John Collins year. Obviously, the trade John Collins summer league squad was pretty fun, and then Sharif and Jalen, those guys were fun. But no, this squad had some real NBA players on it. Had like a solid 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on there that were all intriguing and were able to contribute. So a lot of positive takeaways. You saw pretty much all that you wanted to see, with a few exceptions. I'm sure we'll touch on, like Kobe Buffkin and some of the things that he showed, but also some of the struggles that are, a little bit concerning. Some things with Nico that, he looked concerning early on, but really picked it up those last three games. Asa was as advertised, right? So, and then Jacob Toppin just looked like a really, really solid two-way potential kind of guy. So I'm sure we'll kind of touch on those guys more in depth. But overall, it was a fun week out in Vegas to see the guys competing and coming back in some of those games from down double digits and like really having that grit to them to come back and pull it out. So it was a blast to watch. I wish they could have actually made it to the knockout stage, and I think they would have played everybody and really tried for it. And I think they would have had a solid chance at winning it all if they could have made it there.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy you mentioned about that fifth game because there was a point to where I was just thinking, I really just want to cut this off so badly.
Oh
It
yeah.
was just it wasn't pretty at all. And I think the Hawks even knew they were like, yeah, we aren't gonna win this. That's why they just pulled everyone out, right? So it was disappointing, but what's your general whole thoughts on Summer League, Marco, considering how everything went out?
um, Summer League was fun. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch that last game, so that last game doesn't count to me. Yeah, I wasn't about to sit there and watch
Everyone's
that.
saying it.
I wasn't about to watch that. But yeah, Summer League was fun. I think that's the best. Like as long as I've been watching the team, I think that's the best Summer League we've had. And now I've been keeping up with Summer League. 4-0, you can't ask for anything better. Kobe did some things. Still a lot of concerns with Kobe from my point of view at this juncture of where we're at with him. I think Nico's developing faster than I projected him because he was shooting like off the catch, a little bit of movement shots, a little bit of fades in the mid-range area. He was getting to the hole. He's always been a plus passer. So Nico's moving very faster than what I get. I don't expect him to get like real NBA minutes this coming season, but one more year in College Park, he might be a little might crack a little something next year. Asa, however you say his name. He was better than what I projected to. I didn't know where to put him for summer league, or I didn't really know what I wanted to see from him during summer league. I think I just wanted to see what he could do on offense, and he showed he can shoot it. I think that was like a lot of people's concern. Can that shot somewhat translate over to NBA? So he's showed that he can actually shoot the ball. So I appreciate him showing things. He's very good on the offensive board. He stays active for like not a plus wingspan for a person his size. He still tries to go get every board. Had a couple blocks. Had a nice decent play. Who else was our highlight? Shout out to the other guys. We know that's not going to make the NBA roster, but like the 2 Australian players we had, they play McVay. They played pretty good.
I thought McVay was good. I liked him
McVay
a lot.
was actually trying to fight for his spot.
Jack us a couple times in those comebacks, man.
Yeah, McVay was like very good, so I'm not mad at him. And Jalen's brother had a couple highlights. Jalen's brother was another person I didn't know what I wanted to see from summer league, but he had a couple good highlights. So had a pretty fun roster. Not mad at it. This actually made me way more excited for the season than I originally was. So had a ball watching it. What do you think, Chris, on our legendary summer league?
Well, shout out to the Hawks coaching staff. I feel like they had the guys really prepared. They definitely feel like they all bought in. They're really trying to win those games, and I think they played really hard. We had some comebacks, and for guys to have not played with each other that long, to pull that off is impressive. Jacob Toppin was one guy that stood out to me. It's unfortunate that he picked up an injury, but he was like really bought in. I feel like you could see like him just doing exactly what he was doing out there in the NBA, only aside from the coast to coast fast breaks. Like you guys, I don't know if Grant watched Game 5, but I think I might have had it on the background. I wasn't really paying attention. Once they pulled everybody, there was no point in me tuning in for that. The guys I'm trying to watch weren't even playing, so it's all good. Nico started slow. I don't know if he was enjoying Vegas too much, Game 1, but no, he turned it on. He looked strong. He's a good athlete, and I think he was processing the game a lot better. Instead of trying to kind of charging in nonstop, he was reading it and manipulating a little bit more, and that was good to see. He's really confident player. Kobe was playing really good defense. He has really good timing on blocking jump shots, for sure, and he had some really good steals. It's a lot to kind of run the show and do all that in summer league. We played some kind of spammy teams that were. This is why I hate matching up with the Heat, man, because from the top down to the bottom, they're all just – it's bad basketball to watch, man. They're out there trying to ruin the game.
You can call them tryhards.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, if they could run like a full court press in the NBA, I think for all 48 they would. It's that type of team. It's entertainment, man. Can we watch some basketball? So it was good to have at least a couple games where they weren't playing teams like that. And we saw – the Game 2, I think was the one where Kobe had 9 assists and 1 turnover. I think that one, it felt like he came out determined to get his guys involved, which is good to see. I think you just need some reps at this point to really get a feel. It's such a small sample size. It's hard to make too many firm assumptions, but obviously some worries when the shot's not falling. You hope that it does at some point so you can get a real feel for it. But no, yeah, I mean, the guys overall, I think, you guys shout out the Australian guys that were Danny from Duke was splashing. Jack McVay was splashing, confident shooters. So Onsi, I don't know if he was the one that brought all these guys together. But, yeah, I mean, if he put a good group together. Asa had some performances. So, yeah, it was fun basketball. It's always fun to win. So I'm glad the guys did what they could do. And it's such weird rules, and I'm pretty sure in any other year they probably would have made the playoff easily, but it was a weird one. Hopefully next year AJ Debansa is leading us to a championship.
Yeah, I would say if Jacob Toppin was probably healthy, we'd probably be contending for that summer league championship because he just played such a huge role for what he did because he was pretty efficient for how well he played, especially during those first 3 games. But him just being injured during that third game, that I think that honestly just killed really any chance after that, especially with how Kobe was shooting. And we'll talk about that later. I'm not gonna put everything on Kobe. I think that's kind of dumb. But with considering how were you about to say something?
I was gonna say, I think Jacob might have been like their most physical player, especially in that starting group.
Their most
I think
physical
player. Like him getting to the rim was
getting
like
to the
big
hole
for them.
like,
You need easy buckets.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like he had a few fast breaks where he was just like, I'm just gonna take this. And guys
they needed someone like him.
Stop him.
So
yeah.
It's just but I'm really happy with how Summer League went for the Hawks generally. 4-1 it's still good. It's like everyone else said, it's 4-0. That first game, that fifth game, that's just practice, right? Just practice. So we're just gonna consider 4-0 and just leave it out. But we're gonna start talking about individual players now, and we're just gonna start with Kobe Buffkin because I think everyone wants to talk about him. He's the guy everyone wants to talk about for the most part. So Kobe Buffkin averaged 19.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists on 35% shooting, 26% from three, and 96% from the free throw line on 26 and a half minutes played. He played the most average minutes out of everyone on the roster. I'll start with you again, Grant. What's your general thoughts on how Kobe Buffkin played the summer league? Because everyone had their own thoughts on him so far.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when you're looking at players in his position is like you want them to make sure that like they show that they belong. Like I think your fear for Kobe coming into summer league is, year 3 players that don't play well in summer league, they're pretty much going to be out of the league in the next year or two. So you want to like make sure that he actually comes in and shows like, hey, I can do this, I can contribute, I can produce. On the other side of the spectrum, you think of guys like Dalton Connect, older rookies that are 23, 24, whatever he is, coming into year 2 and struggled. Jalen Hood-Schifino would struggle, and he's coming into year 3. Similar situation to Kobe. So it was nice to actually see him be able to produce and it lead to wins. Obviously the first 4 games, the Hawks winning those, and his contributions in some of those late comebacks. I think overall it was a lot of what you wanted to see apart from the efficiency. The shot just looked a little bit different to me. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't know if it's due to the shoulder or something, if he's been trying to tweak it since recovering from that, but it looked a tad different, like a little bit further away from his body. Looked like he might not be able to get as much lift on it, and I felt like a lot of his shots were short.
Yeah.
Most of the games. Besides that, he had one game where there was a stretch where he had like 3 or 4 in a row. And they looked good then, but a lot of the other times they were short. So I just hope that's more of just a repetition thing, just getting used to, if it is new mechanics, getting used to those mechanics, or just getting that confidence back from, taking so much time off. And then the other side was, I think the explosiveness, particularly around the rim, was lacking. I know in college, his big sell was like, he was an awesome finisher around the rim, like in so many different ways. And we just haven't seen that as much against NBA level competition. In the G League, it looked okay at times, but in the NBA and then even in summer league here, felt like his shot got blocked a lot, and just wasn't, super explosive right at the rim and able to finish around contact. A lot of the time that's evidenced by his, 35% shooting from the field. But those both just go to efficiency. But I think the process, reading the game, the maturity, I think his biggest thing is that like he's so confident. So like if Kobe Buffkin does fail, it's not going to be due to a lack of effort. He's going to give it his all and stay aggressive all the time and do what the coaches ask of him and try every possession. So I appreciate that. I think as Chris mentioned, like defense was fine. His defense has always been pretty solid. Got to the free throw line a ton. I know some people give him like the SGA, baby SGA comps, unwarranted, but I can kind of see some of it. He had that game where he was like 15 from 15 at the free throw line. I think he finished off I think he might have missed 1 free throw the entire summer league.
It's just 1.
Yeah, so that's great if you can get to the line and stay efficient like that. So overall solid. There were some aspects that you didn't love to see, but overall, it's good takeaways and a good building block to kind of go into a preseason and what's going to be like a make or break year for him. Honestly, I'm not sure if they're going to pick up his 4th-year team option because they got to do that really before the season starts. And I mean, if he's not producing this year, then the history of guys in his position with that many games missed and lack of production in their 3rd year, it's not pretty. So now's the time for him.
Chris and Marco, I'm gonna start with you, Chris. I know you're one of the I'll call you Buffkin skeptics in the group, along with Marco. So, what's your thoughts on Buffkin's complete performance so far?
Well, as a Buffkin skeptic, I mean, I'm going to try to be fair. I mean, I feel like I've always tried to be fair. Like Grant said, I think the finishing was definitely a concern. I feel like the explosiveness you want to see from a player like his size to really get those easy buckets inside wasn't there. It's tough to say in summer league, man. There's not much space, and the players are all try hard super athletes. So there's some things that he's got to learn, right? Just playing in the NBA that he probably would have by now. So it could be reads, and the legs might not be under him yet. So it's tough to make firm like declarations about who he is. I've said a few things about summer league, like mainly you're trying to see if a guy's an athlete and can run with NBA talent, like Grant said. Like, does he belong like physically? And then in group chat, I said summer league is just for pushing agendas, man. If your guy plays well, then you push that. If he doesn't, then you push that. But in reality, it's 4 games, and these players are not like ready to really ball. So I don't want to make hard judgments on Kobe. You want to see the shot fall, things that are going to translate right in the NBA. I think we saw him hit a few catch and shoot jumpers, which is big. I think he probably will need to rely on the floater a bit more than he was aware. I think he forced some jumpers that enforce some layups that he probably shouldn't have. And the fast breaks, I think there's some reads that he needs to make and get the ball out. But yeah, you just want to see him move the ball, hit his open shots, and play defense, right? The defense was there. I think he's a really smart player, is really vocal. For what we need him to do, I think he showed that. Kobe has a really good handle as a player. That's why you want to see the legs get under him, so maybe he can beat his guy, right, and really play his game. Because that handle will be important for what this team kind of has right now. There's not too many guys that are as composed as he is on the ball. So I think that'll come in handy. The free throws are a great sign, right? He was there at the end of the game, no matter what was going on with his jumper, right? He could hit those, and that's big. You can be on the floor late if you can hit your free throws. But yeah, it's early, and he hasn't played much basketball, so hopefully he shows them what they need to see, and he can carve out a role for this team and kind of solidify his NBA future. I know they like him a lot. The 4th-year option, we'll see what they do. I'm not sure if he's a restricted free agent after 2-3 years with the team.
I don't think they're going to pick up his option.
Or I mean, they might not have to, right? And then you can get him on something you really want him to after if you want to develop him a bit more. I think he just needs to get stronger, and the fitness has to be there so that he can really show his stuff. But no, the defense is there for what we need. Point of attack, right? Go stand in the corner if he has to hit those jumpers, right? But yeah, I think summer league is it's tough basketball. Like I said, they haven't played together much, right? So the playmaking might be there when he gets some reps with guys and kind of gets in the flow and can get his chemistry up. But I think the Hawks did what they needed with the roster so that Kobe doesn't have much pressure and he can kind of just play his game and hopefully he can get going. Marco?
I don't like being labeled a Kobe skeptic. I don't know. Kobe's in that weird spot. I want to talk about the 4th-year option. It's like Brad said. I don't know if y'all watched the latest Locked on Hawks. But that 4th option is technically a lot of money for a guy that has only played like 22 games in 2 seasons. I think it's like $8 million. So that's for his situation, for who he is. $8 million is a lot. That's like $8 million you could literally give to somebody else that's played better games, but more games, and that's another thing. So I don't think they'll pick up the option simply just because you just don't know what Kobe is as of right now. I'm gonna be a little bit more harsher on my take with Kobe. I get the not harsher, but I give a little bit more grounded. I get why people are happy of what Kobe saw in summer league. He averaged like what 21, 20, 21, 22, got missed one free throw the whole time. He was playing his game, but in the reality of it, Kobe is a third-year player playing in summer league, which is not necessarily a bad thing given the context of his injuries. 2 shoulder injuries and back-to-back seasons. You literally can't ask for worse luck. Same shoulder at that too. You literally can't ask for worse luck. So, but Kobe still is a third-year guy who's been around the NBA, who's been around actual games, who's played against actual NBA players, who's done this, that, the third. So you kind of had to expect him. Like the expectation for Kobe for summer league you should be able to hoop against these guys. No matter what, no ifs, ands, or buts. You should not have a real issue hooping against these guys. Now, to be a little bit more lighthearted, I think Kobe, like I said, Kobe did play good. He showed you what you wanted to see. Can he get to his spots? Can he pass it a little bit? Because, in Quinn's offense, we're playing through the pass. You can't be a person that just stalls the offense or just keeps the ball on one side. You have to be able to make a play through the pass somehow in some shape or form. And I think Kobe showed that to times. There was times where he would get deep into the paint and just collapse. He didn't know what to do. Like he would go to the hole. He sees that they're playing help on that. He just didn't know what to do at that point, which is, it's common mistakes that come with more time, repetition, blah, blah, blah. So he'll eventually get out of that. But I think, again, as a player, a guy that's going into his third year, you wanted to see what you could see. Defense is still a bit choppy. That could just be him getting back into it. I don't think he's played an actual basketball game since October of last year or something like that. So it's whatever at this point with him. I do feel the Hawks will give him the chance. I think preseason is like a big tell because for him, that's like a step above. That is a step above summer league. So we'll see how you feel in preseason. We'll see how we feel with this. We'll see how we feel with that. And if we probably just can't see Kobe being in that rotation, that's a clear indication of them just not picking up that option and letting Kobe be. And it's just like Grant said, a lot of players in his position, they don't really stay in the league long because it's just that's just how the cookie crumbles, sadly, on that. So I think, again, I did like what I saw from Kobe, but again, this is also summer league, so I'm going to give it a more nuanced take on it. I think I would get a better idea of what Kobe is in preseason because, like I said, that's more NBA talent. You're actually playing actual NBA starters for a while, so we'll see what he can become in that. So that's all I have on Kobe as of right now.
That's a good call. Sorry, real quick on that 4th-year option amount. Because it's not chump change. They really spike up that 4th year on those rookie contracts, and so it's at $6.9 million. I'm seeing on Spotrac right now, and like for a team that's going to have Dyson's extension kicking in, potentially a Trey extension if he decides to like decline his player option and extend for starting next the year after next, potentially a Chris Stapps extension when those negotiations start or after the season starts. We might have another top pick next year from New Orleans. That's going to be a big salary slot. So like you have a lot of money coming up. You're going to start paying out guys. So and they might be tax conscious again. We don't know. Hopefully they're not, if they can produce this year and like prove that they can they're a team worthy of going into the tax. But yeah, that's 6.97 million. It's a decent chunk. They really got to think about that. They can't just give it away.
Speaking of before we move on, speaking of Spot Track, they just literally did an article with I think Keith Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
Literally just did an article, and one of the segments on the Hawks was the Hawks still have real concerns with Kobe. Like, can he move? Can he still shoot the ball better? Because that was a real concern. Kobe, he was getting 22 points, and again, he got to the first game, he was 15 for 15 from the line. Kobe still has not shot the ball actually very fluid. And like Grant said, his shot looks different. That could just because of the shoulders. That could just because he's gotten stronger in his shoulder. Like the rear delts and front delts are definitely looking a little bit bigger. It could be a lot of things, or he just changed his shot. But they still have real concern with Kobe. So that's kind of how I think that's where everybody's at on it right now.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna be softer for the most part. So he hasn't played actual NBA competition
in months, right? So I can maybe somewhat excuse obviously the efficiency troubles and stuff. But at the same time, I think a lot of the things that I expected from Kobe Buffkin, um, I still haven't really seen yet. Obviously, Kobe Buffkin was supposed to be a good passer. He's shown that. He's supposed to be a good defender. He's shown that. The offense, like everyone else said, like Grant said, we haven't really seen that rim pressure that we've seen yet. And that's his main selling point. And even the G League, where he's played a whole bunch of games there, he didn't really show that. And at that point, I'm just thinking, if it's gonna show up, if he's gonna be able to show that ability, it's not gonna be here. It's gonna be either on another team, or it's just gonna take like way longer. And at that point, with that extension coming up or that fourth year option, it's like, why am I gonna do it now, especially when we're trying to compete? Like, we could just get another guard if we're gonna do that. It doesn't make sense for me. I think Kobe's summer league was fine. I really liked how well of a playmaker he was throughout the summer league. I think that was easily the most impressive part to me, especially that 9 assists, 1 turnover game he had. But obviously the offense was just at times like frustrating. I know Marco mentioned the when he was in the paint and everything just collapsed and he didn't know what to do with the ball. That's how he got his shot like blocked several times. And I think there was a sequence, and I think near the end of game 3, where I think he got a shot blocked multiple times because of that. It's just, at this point for me, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they just rejected Buffkin's fourth year option, just because I don't think we have the time to really like develop someone like him currently right now, because we're trying to just, move up to the next level as an NBA team. Honestly.
I mean, they have 2 first-round picks coming too. If they plan to use both of those,
you can don't really have room for Kobe. I feel like Hawks should have traded him.
It's tough because he hadn't played, so you don't really have you don't know what
have the leverage
you can get
trade him
for him. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. He's going to have to shoot the ball better.
Yeah.
The way with his size, you have to be like pretty strong to really be a finisher or explosive, right? I feel like he's going to have to work on his bully game, especially if he's trying to play like Shai. Like Shai's got a really great pull up. He's a special shot maker. He takes a lot of contested shots, and Kobe was forcing some shots up. I'm like, dude, please just get off it at this point. But I mean, to his point though, he didn't lose confidence, like you were saying, and like he's a really confident player, and with that handle and the defense, and if he can just get a 3-point shot from the corner or somewhere above the elbow, and you can carve out an NBA role. He really just has to show it. He doesn't have much time. The Hawks could not exercise the option and then still like bring him back as like a free agent or something.
Yeah,
if they really wanted to, or put him on a two-way if they think he's got potential. And I think eventually, right, once he's stronger and the shot comes around, like it's a very useful NBA player, man. I mean, the handle is nice, but he's got to make some reads, and he hasn't played a lot. So
and they just signed a guy that like very similar archetype in a somewhat similar path. Now, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was a little bit more successful in New Orleans, had more playing time and stuff, but we're talking about 6'4" combo guards, two-way players, more known on their defensive end. At least Kobe was kind of coming in more known defensively, can handle a little bit, can play off the ball a little bit. And like Nickeil was, I think he said in an interview before, like he was almost feeling like he was going to be on the outs after he left New Orleans, went to Utah, struggled in Utah, I think his second year there, and thought that like, hey, like this, it's not going well. And then he really picked it up and like turned his career back around. And that could be like a perfect guy for Kobe to learn from. I think one last thing too is that with the shoulder injury, they didn't really release a timeline, but I just want to mention that with those shoulder surgeries, he injured it back in January. He very well might have gotten cleared like weeks before summer league, So like we're not even sure how much he was able to like do full contact before summer league started. So I just want to kind of keep that in mind too. How much like of a ramp up he actually had before even playing out there.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I want to move on to the next player because we've been talking about Kobe Buffkin a bit. Asa Newell, our 23rd draft pick. He averaged 13.5 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.8 blocks on 51% shooting, 43% from three. That actually surprised me. And 44% from the free throw line on 9.8 attempts per game. Played 25 minutes per game. So I'm going to start with you, Chris. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I really liked Asa. Obviously, he didn't have like the same scoring average as Kobe, but the efficiency was there. The shot surprised me, and it was very fluid. I think he's still young, right? He's going to add a lot of strength, so hopefully he can keep the reps up so that he keeps it. But that was great to see. I think he's a really good athlete. There's a few times where he really opened it up in transition, and you saw how fast he is, and kind of explained some of the reports about how much teams like really, really liked him as an athlete. And I think having a guy that's like 6'8" like that, and he was switching out on the guards, getting rebounds, finishing easily. He wasn't like the John Collins comps, I think, are maybe a little lazy because I don't know that he's the same type of vertical athlete that John is. And John was like a more solid. But Asa gets off the ground really easily. And I think with his size, right, I understand like he's going to be an easy lob vertical threat, right? But it's not John Collins. But the 3-and-D capabilities are there, and I think he's going to be really switchable. He's more laterally quick than John, so over time, I think as long as he doesn't size up too much to play center, I think he's going to be a guy that could probably defend 1 through 5, as long as he keeps up that agility. Man, he looks like a really good athlete, and the three is there. I think Trey and these guys that move the ball are going to utilize him really well. I don't know how much the post game is going to come around, but I mean, he's trying it. The drives were promising. So if he gets stronger and can kind of be a 3-and-D closeout attacker, you need as many of those as you can get in the NBA. Grant?
Yeah, man. I agree with all that you said. I was a little bit lower on him in the draft process, just because I feel like with these tweener bigs, you have to be elite defensively or you have to really be able to shoot it for it to work out. And my concern was that, like, I'm not confident he can shoot it just based off the numbers. And if he can't, then we're talking about like worse Marvin Bagley, and like that's not really what you want. But in summer league, he kind of turned that all around. I mean, yeah, the jumper did look fluid. It looked repeatable, and there was some talk going into the pre-draft process that that's what teams were seeing. Teams were seeing like a really, really fluid jump shot. He was really shooting it well. So I'm glad to see that actually carry over into a competitive environment like summer league. I think too, he kind of has like a mature game and kind of knows who he is. He didn't like try to do too much. Whenever he would like try to attack and close out, he might take 1 or 2 dribbles, realize he's cut off, maybe turn his back to the basket and try to pound a couple of times, and then realize, okay, maybe I can do my little turn back to the left hook shot or kick it out. But like, I'm not going to try to go outside of my game or try to cook or try to like show off a bag that I don't really have. He was just like really within his abilities. And I think on the context of this team, when the Hawks have size at the 4, they play well. When you have a guy at the 4 that can be a help side rim protector, be a rebounder, the team has performed well, whether it's Jalen or John or even Gallinari. Like when there's actual power forward size players playing the power forward spot, it works out for the Hawks. So I'm excited to kind of see him in that rotation with Jalen and Moge. I think the last thing for me too is that I'm excited to see him in the pick and roll game with Trey, because Trey just makes guys' life so easy. And I'm not really sure we saw much pick and roll that like he was actually, catching lobs or like getting easy dump off passes that were just easy feeds to him. So he was doing all this, averaging 13 and 8, whatever it was. And I didn't feel like he was getting fed easy dump off or lobs in the pick and roll that I expect him to get during the regular season with guys like Trey and whatnot. So that was encouraging to see.
What's your thoughts, Marco?
I like what I saw from Asa. Like I said earlier, I didn't really know what I wanted to see from him coming in to summer league. I kind of wanted him to just go out there, hoop, see what we can get, and I'll get a general idea of him. It's like Chris said, the John Collins comps are lazy. I feel like just because he was a forward that can play above the rim at times, it was just easy to compare him to John Collins. But the shot is fluid. I like what I see from the shot. again, he was trying to drive the ball. He tried to put the ball on the floor. Had a couple successful drives, putting the ball on the floor, driving to the hoop. He I don't think it was anything like bad I saw from him. Besides outside of like simple rookie mistakes, I don't think I've seen anything that was like that won't translate. I think the whole thing of Asa's game for what he probably wants to be is he just needs to get stronger. Like he needs to go down to Gwinnett, all those Korean barbecue spots. He needs to go line them up, hit the gym, Korean barbecue, line it up. That's literally all he needs to do. He puts on about like 10 pounds. I could see him being like a real helping the team year one. I don't believe he plays the first 2-3 months of the season when the season actually starts. I think they want him in College Park just simply because of how history has been going. I think Reese is like the only rookie out from Onyeka that we like just put out there. I think he'll probably be in College Park for like first 2-3 months. See what he can do, develop him a little bit, then slowly bring him into NBA minutes. Because again, was like Grant said, when the Hawks have forwards with size, we're good no matter what. And he's coming in and can shoot. That helps a lot. If he can then develop a small corner shot in his first year from trading pick and pops, it's fine. Like that's what you get from it. But I do like what I saw.
Yeah, I basically agree with what everyone else has said. I will say, if I think I said it before on the last podcast, and I'll say it again. If Asa Newell is shooting 40% like this in the G League, then I think he probably needs to play in the main rotation somehow. I mean, I know that's a pretty hot take. And I get he's a rookie and the 23rd pick and stuff, but like I don't think there's any way that you can't have someone like that tall and shooting potentially that well, but like not be in the rotation. Because I think for me, I think the best way to describe how he's played is that he seems like really competent. And that seems like a really weird way to describe someone, but just like knowing what you're doing is just that's good, right? Like we haven't had like that many forwards in like the past few years for the Hawks, I think for the most part, that we drafted. I mean, should I say that? I don't know if I can say it like that. But like that could like you could really just say that honestly, except for like Jalen or Zach. But I think it's been a bit of an issue, I think, right? And just to have someone like Asa Newell on this team that could potentially do that, like he knows his role, he knows what to do, and knows how to do his job. I think that could be like really impactful for this team, honestly. And I think it could just generally be a really positive value to have someone like that. But yeah, like you said, Marco, I expect him to probably play for a few months in the G League, but unless he's shooting like really well, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he can shoot his way onto the roster for sure.
Yeah,
that's a possibility. I know Quinn Snyder, but we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, if he shoots really well, I want to see him in the rotation.
Yeah, I'm going to say if he's doing too good early on in G League, then yeah, you kind of got to consider it. I would probably like when we play like the Wizards or some other team like that, I'd probably just try to give him minutes just to see what it is.
Yeah. But let's go on to talk about the next person, and I'll just combine the two together since they did play in the G League together. Jacob Toppin and Nikola Jurisic. So Jacob Toppin had 15 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, and 1.3 assists. Nikola Jurisic had 11.8 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. What's your general thoughts on both of them? Obviously, we mentioned before, Jacob Toppin left in midway through the third game because of an injury. So sadly, he could not have the complete summer league experience. But Nikola Jurisic played 4 games in summer league. So I'll start with you, Grant. What's your general thoughts?
Yeah, I think with Jacob, he was just a man out there. I think that's the easiest way to put it. Real physical, real strong, athletic, and great scorer and rebounder. It's just it's hard to do better, I think, on a two-way at like the 4 or 5 spot. So overall, just really pleased at at what he did in summer league, and happy that he's on the team, and can definitely see him being a two-way guy that can actually come in and contribute if we do have some injuries in the forward room. So, love what I saw from him. He had that one stretch. I think it was during one of the comebacks when Kobe kind of started the comeback, hit a couple threes, got fouled on the three, and hit some free throws. And I feel like Jacob, like 3 or 4 possessions in a row, just took it coast to coast and said, "All right, it's mine," and then just finished it with a layup. So when he puts his head down like that with his size and frame and physicality and everything, it was really fun to watch. So yeah, I love what we saw from him, and also kind of sad that he got hurt, because I think another game out of him, game 4. I think we had to win that game by like, I don't know, 12 or 13 points to go on to the next round and like make the summer league playoffs, and ended up winning it by whatever it was, 5 or so. And Jacob could have helped us get over the top for that. With Nico, I was a little concerned in game 1. I don't know about y'all, but the second half of game 1, when I was just seeing him so obviously winded out there and not being able to compete on defense and anything, I was just like, this is what we saw. I don't know if you guys watched a lot of College Park last year when he was playing, but like it was the same thing last year, just kind of disengaged and looked out of shape. And I thought we were just right back to square one, even though we had so much time off and for recover and everything. But he flipped the switch the last 2 games, man, or the last 3 games. So he's got great size at the wing spot. His in between game is really intriguing. He's got the whole bag of the low dribble pickups, pivots in the paint, the fadeaway shot, using his body, trying to get into contact, and he rises up really high on his jumper, which makes it really effective for mid-range shots too, especially at his size. He can just kind of get to his spot, and you can't really block it when he's rising up and fading away. I thought he was the best passer on our team. I think Kobe had more assists just by nature of being the point guard, but the reads that Nico was making were special. He had some in transition where it's just like, I didn't see the guy open on TV. And Nico could just kind of tell and get through passing lanes that were really impressive. And the defense picked up the last few games as well. So it was a big turnaround from that first game. And I think some people might have mentioned that, maybe it was just some nerves from signing his first NBA contract and stuff, and first couple of days in Vegas. So I'm glad he got that out of the way, and really looking forward to his opportunity this year to kind of see what he can
do. Chris, what's your thoughts on Jurisic and Toppin?
Yeah, no, Jacob Toppin was playing really, really good basketball. He felt like, I don't know if someone sat his brother down and was like, this is how you're going to get on the NBA floor. And then his brother was like, all right, Jacob, this is how you're going to get on the NBA floor, because he was just doing everything you want one of your role players to do. I think he looked really composed out there. He showed his physicality, the athleticism. He shot it pretty well. He just showed everything that you really want to see from a guy that's going to be like at the end of rotation, who's going to try to like fight his. And we need like strength in the roster somewhere. So he's got an opportunity to kind of show that. So yeah, that was good to see. Nico really was fun to watch. The passing, like Grant said, was really, really special. He was moving it early. There's some times where he probably could have got an assist, or he was the reason someone got an open shot, because he hit the hockey assist, right, as they say. The pull up was nice. He was confident. He looked really strong. He looked like one of the better athletes out there. And we know Nico can get to the rim, but it was nice to see him kind of work on the other stuff. He had some fadeaways in floater area, falling away from the rim. The only thing I wanted to see more was the 3-point game, but I feel like he was on ball when Kobe was off anyway. So I don't know if he got too many opportunities for that, and I'm not sure how he felt about the pull-up. It didn't look like he was confident in it, but I would like to see that moving forward. But other than that, he really, really showed some. I wasn't expecting him to look as good as he did. And Kobe had the harder job, right? So Nico kind of got to play off of him. And I think he really benefited from that. He took advantage of it. He was blowing through some guys and getting to his stuff. He looked really confident. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Nico can do moving forward. You just got to stay locked in, I guess, and the focus has to be there. But he looks like an NBA player. And I would love to see what comes next. What they've done with Veet's jumper, if they can do that with Nico, I think they have an interesting player on their hands. So yeah, I'm very bullish on both Toppin and I think the Hawks had probably the last 4 guys in their rotation in this summer league team, and they all kind of showed what you wanted to see.
Yeah, I think Nikola and I said Nikola and Jurisic, Toppin and Jurisic were really good this summer league. I really, like you said, Grant. I think Jurisic's passing was just really good, and what you said, Chris, about Jurisic being more off, I'm not off ball, on ball. I thought it would have been more interesting to see him on ball more like last year, where he could have been more of the point guard. I do wonder why they didn't let him do that. I think maybe it was because they probably thought they needed more reps for Kobe, so they just let him be more Buffkin be more on ball for that. But I thought Jurisic was just awesome, and those last 3 games he played, I thought that his intensity was just really, really good for the most part, and that mid range is just it was money. Like I think that was the best way to put it. Like I thought his shot making wasn't the best when you saw it in during the Skyhawks for like that for his first half, but it got going as he progressed, and you saw that progress in the summer league as well. So I thought he did a good job, and like everyone else said about Topping, he's 25, he's a professional, he's physical, he knows what he's doing. I mean, I generally he was a really good player for us in summer league. I'm glad we got him on the 2-way. It's unfortunate that he got injured because like everyone else said, we probably may have gotten a real chance at the summer league championship if it wasn't for his injury, because we needed his physical presence. And also it's nice to have him on that 2-way because we needed a forward like him that can play the 3 and 4 spots. So just having a player like him that can actually be efficient and make shots like that and be physical, I think that's good for the Hawks generally. So overall, I think those guys were played and showed a really good summer league. But speaking of those guys, we're gonna talk about the state of the Hawks roster. So I'm gonna mention a few quick things, and then we're gonna talk about the overall roster, what we think about it. So Caleb Houston from the Orlando Magic was added to the roster. He's a wing. Keaton Wallace from last year, he signed on as the final 2-way. There are only 2 players that are below 6'5". Keaton Wallace and Trae Young. That is something that I think everyone cheered about for like years, and it has finally happened. And I'm just gonna now list the current roster as it stands. So for our guards, it's Trae Young, Luke Kennard, Dyson Daniels, Keaton Wallace. For wings, Nickeil Alexander, Caleb Houston, Nikola Jurisic. Forwards, Jalen Johnson, Risa Shea, Jacob Toppin. In our bigs, it's Porzingis, Onyeka, Asa Newell, Muhammad Gay, and Eli John Dudane, who is our third 2-way. Did someone want to say something, or
did you forget Kobe?
I did. You're right.
I mean, it's fine by me. You know what I'm saying?
You said you're fine. I did forget Kobe, but yeah, we have one roster spot, I believe, if you count everything. But we have how many wings we got? I'm counting. We got 3 rings. We got basically 3 forwards. But we only have one roster spot remaining. And what do you guys think generally of this current roster as it stands? And I'll just start with you, Marco, and then we'll just move around the rest of the room.
You finally have a good roster around Trae. Like every offseason move we made, the 2 guys on the 6'5". Realistically, only one of those guys are going to play, and that's Trae. So technically, only one guy on the 6'5". If you want to get real technical with it, but that's nice. Well, I don't think we've had a team this large since the 21 run, which is kind of crazy to talk in regards. You got a lot of diversity on the roster too. Nobody is just like stuck at one position. Like KP can play the 4-5. Nikhil Alexander Walker can play 2-3. Kennard can play 1-2. Like if you need to mix and match lineups, you literally can just mix and match lineups of what you want to do. Size at every position except point guard. Size at every position of need, is there. Hawks not announcing Caleb Houston. It's kind of funny yet. I feel like that should have already happened unless something is going on. But he's like, even though he hasn't dunked in game yet, being 6'8", hasn't had an actual NBA career.
Trey's got to give him a dunk. Don't worry.
Oh, trust me, he better get one. I feel like he'll take that layup if he has that thing. But he's even has size, and that's shooting with more size. Like you basically got a bigger Garrison Matthews with a few more steps. So you kind of replaced, stuff you could where you at. So you upgraded shooting too. I'm pretty sure we were one of the not worst shooting, but we were like middle of the pack when it came to 3-point shooting last year. I think, like I said, you just got a lot of guys that can do whatever you want. We finally got a couple more rim people that can get to the rim. So good roster. Onzi did his literally put his foot in it for this whole offseason. So I'm happy with what we got.
We're gonna move on to you, Grant. What's your general thoughts on this roster? Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I think the most important part is no David Roddy. So that's at least another 2 or 3 wins we're going to get guaranteed
God.
there.
That's true.
No,
that's true.
It's just, yeah, like Marco said, it's really that you have more positional flexibility now. Like I thought the top 8 last year was solid, right? You had your starting 5 with Clint at the center spot and that starting lineup, and then Bogey, DeAndre, and Onyeka. I like that top 8. And when those 8 were healthy and playing well, that's when the team was at their best. I still think it's a really solid top 8, and then maybe 9 through 15 or 14 in this case have a little bit more questions, even though I think those, that room is better than the 9 through 14 last year. But instead of Clint, you have Kristaps now, extremely, more versatile and especially offensively. Instead of DeAndre, who's probably, purely a 3 on this team. We saw that, at the 4, we couldn't make it work defensively.
Yeah.
It's the case for years. But now you have Nikhil Alexander Walker, who can be a 2 or a 3 or a 1 with his defensive ability. And then Luke Kennard, I think you hope that Luke can be what you thought Bogey would give you last year. Because, if you recall, Bogey didn't really give you anything last year.
Yeah.
He was mostly a non-factor offensively, and especially right before he got traded, I feel like he probably had a 5 or 6 game stretch towards the end there where he could not throw the ball in the ocean. And I don't have that word with Luke Kennard at all. I didn't realize this until after we signed him, but he's 3rd or 4th all time in qualified 3-point percentage among all NBA players. So he's been shooting 45% from 3 for 6 straight seasons now. A true sniper in every sense of the word, and Trey's just going to get him the most open looks imaginable all the time. So I think the top 8 is still where the strength lies, but the versatility of those 8 is significantly more than what we've had in years past. And then again, the guys in the back end, you have Mo, who we have more confidence in now than we did at this time last year. Ace is looking good. Hopefully you have Kobe and can see what he can do again to start the season. Still think V's a solid contributor, solid rotation player.
I just realized I forgot Veet Krejci on this list too. I forgot a lot of people. Oh my God.
It's tough with the 2 ways. You got 17, 18 guys to think about. So, but yeah, him and to Margaret's point about Caleb Houston, you hope that he can just be taller Garrison Matthews, which, obviously would be a welcome addition here. And then just the natural growth of the young guys. It is a young core and they fit well together. You hope you can have a Dyson leap, a Zachary leap, and a Onyeka leap.
Yeah.
Jalen having a healthy season. So I think they built it really well around their core young guys, and then the young guys all fit well and have a lot of room to grow too.
What's your general thoughts on this roster, Chris?
Yeah, I'm excited about the additions, I think, and some of the subtractions, right? I think they got some contracts out of the way that they needed to. Clint expiring allowed them to bring in a guy in Kristaps that makes a little bit more. But I mean, he brings you so much in terms of shooting and the rim protection, which is huge. I think that's a player that could fundamentally change how they play basketball on both ends pretty significantly. Luke Kennard, like Grant was saying, has a flamethrower. He's a legitimate sniper, like one of the all-time shooters, and I think that's a great player to put next to Trey and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Similarly, can get him up there. He's, I think 38% from three the last couple of years. So that's a guy that they brought in a lot of shooting. Caleb Houston as well. Guys that can shoot, right? And we've talked a long time what Trey and shooting can be in terms of an offense, and something they added to the roster at the end of last season, right? So I think a lot of the plan is to have the shooting you had last year with a better, younger group. Hopefully Jalen is healthy and can really take advantage of the extra spacing that these guys can help provide. I think they're connectors. They can handle the ball a bit. I think Onsi did a good job adding guys that they needed to. I think the formula and the plan kind of all makes sense for how they want to play. And I think that they got their guys in, Hawks DNA or not. I think they might be achieving that, right? And I think after a few years, it's nice to see Quinn have a group that kind of does what we know he wants them to do. So I'm excited to see what they can do. We're going to need some leaps, like Grant was saying, from the younger guys in terms of offense. They really got to pick it up if they want to be full-time starters in the NBA. And the half-court game, I think, is going to have to evolve for everyone. But I think Kristaps being here kind of helps that. It's someone they can defer to some, but he also kind of opens up the spacing. So hopefully we can see some drives from Dyson and Jalen and Zach. I think we saw some positive things from all of them over the course of the season. So it should be a fun year. I mean, I think it's a team that can defend at the point of attack for the entire game. I think Jalen and KP and Onyeka give you a really solid back line. Zach and Dyson out there on the perimeter. You got a lot of length that you didn't have, and then some legitimate shot makers. So yeah, it's a good group. I think they're coming together. I think Asa's depth is nice to have. I think finally they kind of have NBA guys at the end of their rotation instead of G League guys. So hopefully that they're insulated from injuries and they can kind of make their way through that 82-game marathon and play some real basketball in the spring and in the playoffs. I think this is a group that should be aiming for 45-plus wins at this point. I think Onsi did what he needed to do, especially in terms of reshaping the roster in one offseason and adding depth around what they have. So, yeah, it's a group that fits, and I think Quinn's got his guys. So, yeah, let's see what they can do. I think, obviously, you could always have a little bit more, but I think I feel like this is kind of the start for them, kind of where they finally reset the roster and you kind of build off it from here. And they had this exciting draft picks, and maybe they move them, maybe they don't. But I think in terms of one summer kind of turning things over, I think Onsi did a great job.
Yeah, I want to shout out like his first couple weeks on the job, because it's really incredible when you look at it, like taking a step back. But like you go into draft and free agency week with picks 13 and 22, and you go from there, and you come out of it with, you turn that into Kristaps Porzingis. You get off Terrence Mann's deal, which is the only bad contract on the books. You get Asa Newell. You get a unprotected better of Milwaukee, New Orleans next year. And then he signs the top unrestricted free agent on the market in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which maybe that's a testament to like it being a weak free agency class, but still, like Nickeil was considered like the top player most likely to move that was unrestricted. It's a hell of a job of like your first few weeks on the job to really do all that, position yourself better for the present and the future, no questions asked, help your flexibility, your optionality, he likes to say. So shout out to Onsi for, really taking the job and running with it and doing a great job.
Yeah. The amount of changes he's done to his roster in literally a few weeks, it's honestly crazy. I think I said before, he's done more trades in the past few weeks than Landry has done in literally almost 2 years. I mean, I'm honestly impressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly crazy about it. But for me, honestly, I just love how versatile this roster is, because for the past few years, the Hawks had this issue where it's just we just had guys that could only just do one thing, and that was it. And the minute that one guy got injured, the season's over. You saw with Jalen, if he got injured, we didn't have any other backup options. That was it. The season's over. And now we have actual backups now. We have Asa Newell, we have Muhammad Gay, we have guys like that. If Risa Shea, is injured or something like that, we have players like Jacob Toppin, we have Caleb Houston. We have it's just we have just such a versatile roster now, and we didn't really have those kinds of options before that we've had in like the past few seasons. And honestly, that's just makes me so happy, because we won't have those issues where we don't need to play like a guard at the 4 and teams are just gonna like completely own us because they're just dunking on small guards in like crunch time. I mean, it's just a huge thing for this team, and hopefully it's gonna bring us into the top 6 in the future. So basically, I agree with everyone here. It's just a huge thing for this team to have this much size and versatility. But with that, I'm gonna ask the last question: is does anyone have like any specific player they want to add to that last roster spot before we close this out? I'll start with you, Grant.
I think the dream is Al Horford, if
Yeah.
that's even realistic. But yeah, it's kind of slim pickings right now. I think you probably go with a big man like Al, or maybe you go with some more point guard depth, because you kind of got your last 2 spots for a couple wings and Nico and Caleb Houston. So really can't go wrong. But yeah, I think Al, if anybody, I'm also open to just keeping the spot open, and kind of keeping that flexibility a little bit to see what develops during the season. If the buyout market take shape or something for some teams, like if I don't know if midway through Washington cuts some of their other older guys that just got rid of Marcus Smart, they might look to move off with Middleton, and you could have someone like him as your 15th guy, vet presence coming in. So they can go a lot of ways, but if I had to pick one guy, I'd say the dream is Al right now, if that were to be possible.
Chris, who would you say?
I don't really have a particular name. It's more like, I mean, I would like a vet. That'd be nice. But honestly, Grant made a good point that you might just leave it open, I think, because you have those trade exceptions. And I think at some point this summer, maybe going into training camp, teams are going to be making some decisions, right, about their final roster. And if a guy isn't happy about his role, you have the optionality of going out and getting them, and adding someone that could really help. You can get a legitimate NBA player with some of the exceptions that they have. So I think keeping that open, and seeing who comes available, just kind of being opportunistic over the next couple months. I think just kind of see who the deadlines haven't really come on a lot of these deals. And I think there's some sign and trade stuff going down, right, with some of these players that teams might need help moving contract soon. And they've talked about going into the tax. So I think they have an opportunity to go out and add a real NBA player. I think there's still some minutes available if they want to give them out. So yeah, I would like to see them use that exception maybe to go get some money.
Marco, who do you say?
Just like Grant and Chris said, I don't really have a particular name. Ideally, if you do decide to fill that spot, third big, preferably a vet big, just to have that guy that can just come in and do what they need to do for like maybe 10 minutes and dip out. I would rather keep it open because, again, it's like Chris said, you never know what's going on and behind the scenes in the NBA. So if you need to help facilitate something, you got a spot. Like Grant said, I've been a fan of Middleton on this roster because he would help the bench a lot. If Middleton somehow gets a buyout, you have an open spot for that or something. So I would prefer to leave it open. Keep like I said, optionality, keep that open. You never know what's going to happen. Some guy you might really like comes available, and now you have a way to really do it. So that's what I would do with the spot.
I would say for me, I want to keep the spot open, honestly, just because I feel like just having a player just in case, I think is always important to me. I would just get back up big like Rashawn Holmes or like Grant, you said, Al Horford would probably be the dream. Just having that guy and maybe him retiring here as a Hawk, that would be like that would be like the dream, right? So that would be cool. But just getting a third big, I think would probably be the dream scenario for me. But with that being said, that is gonna be the end of episode 39. Does anyone have any quick final thoughts before we close this out?
I'm just gonna say, man, we're into that dead period right now, but it's fun to chat about this stuff and keep the interest going. We got Eurobasket coming up in a month, so we got some stuff to look forward to. But it's about to be dry for the next 30 days until that starts up.
Yeah, let's see how Ricochet does.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out Eurobasket. KP is playing for Latvia, I think, and Zach's playing for France. Thank you, Grant, for coming on with us.
Yeah, thank you, Grant, so much. It was great to see you.
Appreciate you on here.
Shout out to the Atlanta Dream, by the way. They're 12-9. So
they lost last night. So
they did.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my bad. Not paying attention to the record lately. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to this edition of Hard Knock Hawks, episode 39. Make sure to like it, subscribe. We will see you all next time.
Go Hawks.